Morning, Lockie from TLC Pest Control. We're in a residential property. We're just about to go upstairs and do the loft itself. They've had some bad activity with rodents over the last couple of months and that. And as you can see from the background, it's been empty for a while, so it's just going through modernisation, which is the reason why it's had rodents here. So we thought, well, while we're here, we're going to make several videos. So this is going to be the first of 3 videos. Talking to you about insulation, the reasons why you need insulation, how to put insulation down, grants you can get, etc. So we're going to start off with the loft themselves and the design of lofts. Now, a loft will vary. They'll be really peaky, they'll be flat, they'll be whatever. So sometimes you can have lots of space to walk around in, lots of storage space, which people throw up all the rubbish and you forget about, or it can be very tight. Now, the reasons behind that is all to do with the design of the actual roof. Now, this will depend on the type of building materials that you use, whether it be metal or whether it be wood. The actual overall design of the building, the designer that did it, the location as well. So, some building regulations in the UK vary from Scotland, England and Wales, and they may have certain things that they require. Also, the location where your actual house is being built. So, for example, if you're in the Highlands, during the winter, you're going to get quite a lot of snow, which is going to cause some weight on the roof. So obviously the roof needs to be stronger. If you live by the coast, during the winter times, you'll get gales, high winds blowing in off the sea. Again, the roof needs to be stronger. So what you'll find out is that the actual roof joists, now these are the ones that go up like that. Now they will be anywhere between 40 and 60 centimeters apart. Now when the roof joist comes down, it comes to the ceiling joist, which goes across. Now it's the ceiling joist that it's important to us because that's where we're going to put the insulation. So just to show you what I'm talking about so you can visualize it, we're just going to show a quick image, as you'll see just up here, of a roof and the design of a roof. Now, as I mentioned, the actual ceiling joists are where we put the insulation. Now, government regulations at the moment is a minimum of 270 mil of insulation. Now you can get insulation in a roll up to 300, but it means it's very bulky. Some loft hatches aren't that, wide and stuff like that, and it is a lot to move around. So I would suggest that you do it in 2 stages, and you do it in 2 stages because you'll get the better cover. So for example, going along the joists, you're going to put in 100 mil, and then going vertically across it, giving you sort of like a lattice effect, you're going to put 170 mil. Now, what's the benefits? So there's benefits both financially and for your health. So financially, if you got a semi-detached house, you will save anywhere up to £200 to £270 a year with the proper 270 mil insulation compared to not having any insulation. If you've got a mid-terraced house, it's about 180 to 220, and the reason being is the actual overall square meterage of the loft, which covers the house, is a lot smaller. If you're in a bungalow, which has got a greater volume, greater square meterage, then you will save anywhere between 330 and 440. Now, it's easy to measure your loft. You don't necessarily need to go up there and crawl along with a tape measure and stuff like that. What you can do is you can go outside and measure the footprint of the property. So just measure from one corner across the front and one corner down the side of your house. And that will give you your square meter, and your loft will be that size. So it's quite easy to do. Now, once you've done that, you will probably try, and I would sort of severely suggest it, that you try and get some local grants. Now, local grants, there's 3 that you can really apply for. So the first one is the Great British Insulation Scheme. So it's called the GBIS. Now, this is aimed at homeowners, tenants, landlords with an EPC rating of B to G, or they're in council tax bands of A to D in England. So generally what you can do is you can get either reduced savings, or sometimes you can get it free. Now there's another one called the Energy Company Obligation, which is the ECO4. Now the ECO4 is for helping low income homeowners or vulnerable households improve the energy efficient. And again, you can either get it all paid for or you can get something going towards it. Also, a lot of local councils, local authorities do their own schemes. Now, they don't advertise these very well, so you need to go onto their websites and have a look through and do your research, because you can save some money. So, for example, with a standard, say, mid-terraced house, you're probably talking anywhere between 1,200 and 1,500 to get the insulation to the correct level that you need. Now, if you haven't got the correct insulation, you've run the risk of certain penalties. So, for example, building regulations now. So all new buildings or refurbished buildings must have a minimum of 270 mil, which is the reason why we're here, because this is getting refurbed. Now, landlords require what they call an EPC, which is an Energy Performance Certificate. And if you have a look up here, you'll see an image of a EPC. So the EPC for a landlord must have a minimum of E or above. If you haven't got it, you won't get the certificate. You can get fined because obviously you're renting out a property without the proper certification. So non-compliance risks. So without the proper insulation, you could fail inspections, as I've mentioned, for landowners. You can get fines, or even restrictions on things like selling. So sometimes a lot of sellers, estate agents and that, will obviously ask for an EPC. And so you can see the energy rating of your building. Some new or first time buyers, with some of their grants that they get to help them with the first time buyers, needs to have an EPC. And obviously, as we mentioned in the beginning, by getting the correct amount of insulation in your loft, you will save money. So initially, yes, there is an outlay, and that outlay could take 3 to 5 years to pay back itself. But once it's paid back, then you're saving money. And that's one of the main reasons why you need good insulation.